as we get into, and I'm going to keep harping on this, right? That we're going into a different time. We got to change our behavior. And a lot of it, you know, we go out and we tell clients, we're going to teach you how to financial plan. We're going to do a budget. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. I want to make sure that we are doing that for ourselves as well. You know, I went through, actually, I'll stay on topic and I'll go through these one by one, you know. So what are the habits that wealthy people have? Trust me, it's not what you see on social media. It's not. When I it's not on TikTok, which is social media, right? TikTok is so good, I can't even open it anymore. I haven't opened it in 6 months because when you open it, you know why everyone's on it. It's 40, the average user is on TikTok for an hour and a half a day. Unbelievable. I mean, isn't that? And I know that it's true because when I get on, he's saying it's more, right? It is, it's that good, right? But the problem is that, and there's a lot of good information on there outside of the stuff that I make fun of. But at the end of the day, you know, social media in general is people kind of portraying a certain life. I go to places where there's like a high concentration of wealthy people, and I definitely feel like an outcast. I don't belong there. I'm just kind of visiting, right? But when you go to Aspen, when you go to Vail, you see like serious wealth. Like the people you meet, they're like, yeah, my dad, you know, he invented the stripe on the credit card. Like that's, we're talking about, you know, this is silly money, silly money. And what you notice is they're not as flashy as the people that you see on social media. Matter of fact, they're probably laughing at the people that are super flashy because they think that we're wasting our money. You know what I mean? So let's talk about the habits. Number one, wealthy people save a lot of money, not just some savings, not your 401k 3%, right? They save a lot of money. This is something that we preach here. You know, a lot of the younger people in Primerica are mad at Primerica because on their social media, Primerica does not want them showing stuff and cars and houses and stuff like that because it kind of sends the wrong message. Now, there's a compliance aspect to that where the government doesn't like it either, but regardless, that's not what we promote here. We promote you guys getting financially independent, making good decisions, so one day you don't have to work for somebody anymore, right? So wealthy people are not into things as much as you think. Now, look, I went through that phase. Even today, I'm still very materialistic, right? But I waited until my savings and my income got into a certain point. I always talk about that. So it's not about things. Here's another thing. Even you have to build a budget. We tell clients to build a budget. You got to build a budget. And right now, you got to tighten the screws on your budget. That's what I was going to say earlier. I'm starting to go through my credit cards, and I'm like, all right, what subscriptions do I not need? What am I not noticing coming out of my account? What can I reduce? What can I cut back on? Because that's my nature. I know what it's like to not have money. I know what it's like to, you know, not be able to pay your bills and your credit cards and your car. I went through that because I was a very young entrepreneur. I've never had a salary in my life. I've only worked commission. In the beginning, it was difficult, and I never want to go through that again. So it's kind of ingrained in me, right? You got to make a budget. Wealthy people have a budget. Even when you see them splurge, the splurge is within reason. It's within a certain amount that they've allocated towards that. That's the way you got to think, right? You can't just have whatever you want and figure out how to pay it later. That's a broke mindset. You can't think that way. 20% is the golden rule. That's what we say to clients. That should be your rule too. You make 10 grand a month, good for you. You should be putting away $2,000 a month, right? Some of you guys that are in Primerica part-time, you should be thinking about making a minimum of $1,000 to $2,000 a month and saving all of it. There's people that do that in this business. They have good salaries and they come into Primerica, and Primerica is all their savings. When I met Sheila, this is one of my favorite stories because I was just a kid and I was making no money. And I went to her house and I did a financial plan for her and her husband, and she had 2 jobs and they were living in a nice house in a nice neighborhood, and he was making good money and she was making good money. and she had 2 jobs. And I remember in the financial plan, I was like, can I see your pay stub? Because I used to go through every single thing. And I said, can I see the pay stub for the second job? And she goes, oh, that one, it doesn't matter because 100% of that income goes into the 401k. She was working a second job just to put more in the 401k. She was already putting the 401k in her primary job. Think about that mindset. She was in her 30s. Think about thinking that way, right? This isn't like, she's not going to see that money for 30 years. She's away from her kids, away from her family, putting in more hard labor as a nurse so that she could save even more money than she was already saving. And that's why when you're around her, right, people that are financially independent, there's an aura about them. That's what Hector Lamarck says, one of my mentors, right? It's an aura. You know what that aura is? It's like, yeah, you know, it's okay. There's not a lot of things that are going to come into my life that are going to rock me to that extent. You know what I mean? Like things can be taken care of. It's because while everyone else is doing stupid stuff, you got to be saving your money, right? This is a great, from one of my other mentors, Bill Arender. He said, me and my wife never fought. The only thing we ever fought about was how much money I was saving. He said, I used to save myself broke. I used to save myself broke. You know? Because there was a time where for years, I used to keep $100,000 in my checking account. And then I started, and it was just cool to see, right? And then I started thinking about it. I was like, this is making me really comfortable. And I just started investing all of it. And I'll talk to Shondell and Josh sometimes. I'm like, oh man, I got to get back on. I got no money. When I say I got no money, it's because I invested it all. I've never once went into an investment account and liquidated it for money, right? After like 24. 22, 23, when I was super broke, I did liquidate my IRAs. I did that. It sucks. God knows how much money that could have been today, right? But ever since I started doing okay, I've never gone into my investments and taken money out. So to me, once that money's in, I have no access to it. And it forces me to go out and make even more, right? So you got to save yourself broke. And having emergency funds. You got to start thinking about that. Clients have to start thinking about that. Because people think, they say it so normally, like, oh yeah, I can just borrow against my 401k. You can, right? But rule of 72, our money doubles every 6 years at a 12% return. You're borrowing money from your 401k at 35. That's 30 years that money wasn't sitting in there. What could it have become? You took out 20 grand right now. Yeah, it gets paid back over time or whatever, but that interest, that compounding, you're losing out on probably $1 million. Yeah. If you had an emergency account, you wouldn't have to go into your 401k. Were you and your husband borrowing money from your 401ks?
I did.
You did?
But I invested in a dialysis unit back home.
Okay.
Like I usually use it to invest.
Right. Learn how to answer my questions. Focus on, here's another thing wealthy people do. Focus on raising your income. Focus on raising your income. I mean, it's amazing to me how many corporate people I meet. And when I'm around people, I don't flex. I'm just quiet, right? Because the majority of people that I'm around do so much better than me that it's like I'm nobody. But once in a while, if I'm around like corporate people, I just see their demeanor. I see how arrogant they are. I see how they talk. I see how they are around their employees and stuff like that. It's like, dude, you make 180. I know kids that you make in a month.
Yes.
Well, you make in a year, they make in a month. They're kids.
Yeah.
Right? But it's the arrogance that people have because they think and the people they're around, their company made them feel like, and then you got this other group of people who are making millions and they're always on their phones. They're always looking for the next thing. And they're always looking, right? And there's that hunger there. I'm not talking about a good corporate salary. I'm talking about people making money are focused on making even more money. And again, this is only for the people who want to be wealthy, who want to be financially successful. I understand that's not everybody, but then you're kind of in the wrong meeting. This is what this meeting is. Did she say, hey, Ariba, you're coming to church today? Did she say that? No. Did she say, hey, you're coming into that meeting where you get to meet a lot of cool people and everyone shares their past? And we all talk about our your mommy and daddy issues. Hey, you're coming into the money meeting. You're coming into the money meeting. You want to learn about money? You want to make money? This is what you need to hear. That's where you came today. That's what you logged into, right? How do you focus on raising your income? Side businesses. So for a lot of you, this is your side business. One day, Kalina, we want it to be your primary business, but you're taking that right step. You should take pride in having a side hustle, a side business, you know, and choosing the right investments. Good investments, predictable investments, diversified investments, not super speculative investments. And understanding that the reason why we want to raise our income, because 20% of 250,000 of income is better than 30% of 100,000 of income. So a lot of times what'll happen is, you know, living under your means, like there's different philosophies on that. My parents, the way that, and it's okay, they're immigrants and they came, they're different, that's a different group of people. But spending less money consumes their life in every single area. How can I not take a toll? How can I not pay for this? How can I pay less for this? How can I cut a corner here? And dude, it's just a different generation. But there's two schools of thought with that. You can figure out how to constantly reduce your means, or you can put that same energy into increasing your means. So do you want to live below your means, or do you want to increase your means? I focus on increasing my means. I still want to be responsible. I still save money, but instead of always figuring out how to do things for less, how about we figure out how to make more? And thank God we're in a business where you have a variable income, which means the harder you work, the more money you can make, and it's an unlimited income opportunity. But trust me, wealthy people, if you're around just corporate people, yeah, they're not thinking about that. They're very satisfied. I know I'm generalizing, it's not everybody. We recruit a lot of corporate people. I'm just talking about the general mindset, right? You know, once in a while, you got to go to, you know, a happy hour or whatever. I don't even drink, but sometimes I got to show up, and people wear that badge. You've been, right? It's like a brand name. I see people on Instagram, you know, once in a while I look someone up, and I don't know why I don't forget these things, but the dude was at the office and it said Deloitte, which is a top 5 accounting firm. And then he was like this.
Oh,
right? Like their identity goes with what corporation they work for. I mean, look, I just don't think that way because it's not my company. It's not my name. It's just my job. Right. But that's the way people are. But in the business community and people that are really financially successful, they're always thinking about making more money, right? You can still be happy, but you got to be getting better. This is huge. So avoid lifestyle inflation. Avoid lifestyle inflation. So what does that mean? As we make more, right, we tend to spend more. So our income goes up. Like your friend gets a new job, like Josh is at that age, right? Where now all of his friends, they graduated college, they're probably at their second job now, they're making some good money, and he'll start to notice better car and then better car and then better apartment, then better this and then better trips, all for what? So you can post more pictures and everyone can see, but at the end of the day, you have to pay those bills, right? And what happens is as people make more, they figure out how to spend more. Make sure that your savings is a percentage of your income, not just an amount. Because congratulations, you're saving $500 a month into your Roth, but you just got a $10,000, $15,000 raise. You're still only putting $500. What's happening to all the extra money? You got to challenge yourself to raise your savings along with your income. I'm trying to think of what else I was going to say about this. You know, in general, what I try to do is I'm very nervous about raising my fixed expenses. So I'll go out there, I'll spend here, I'll spend there, but I'm not going to do things that raise my fixed expenses too much. You know, so think about that also when you take on a new house, new car, new apartment, whatever. Invest for the long term. So wealthy people are generally less emotional, right, with their finances. And right now we're going to the market. They're more emotionally stable during market ups and downs. People that are emotionally volatile, they're getting in, they're getting out, they're panicking, I'm here to counsel you. And none of my clients do that, but I hear that people are doing that. They tell me stories of people around them that are doing things like that. People that are going to be financially successful, they're educated to the point to where they understand, like, every cycle there's boom bust. Everything that goes up has to come down and it'll eventually go back up, and you have to be patient, and there's not always something to do, right? Like, there's those people out there that are like, hey, I just read this. What is there to do now? Now they're saying this. Should I do something now? You don't always have to react to everything happening in the economy, with your money, with your account, whatever. And people who just stay for the long term and focus on what they can control. We can't control the market, but what can we control? How much we put in, which means we got to make more, right? We got to invest more, and you put that money in, and that's how you're going to win, right? What do we say? The key is time in the market, not timing the market. Not timing the market. Trust me, I subscribe to and follow and read all the best investors in the world. Nobody knows. So you're not going to know either. I don't know. Is this the best time? Is this the right time? Are we at a top? Are we at a bottom? Is the bottom going to be next? I don't know, right? You're trying to time. No one can time. But I know that time in the market, you're going to be rich. And wealthy people understand this. They have a long-term mindset when it comes to their investments. Whether it's real estate, how about business? People start businesses. Can you imagine? Most businesses take 5 years to turn a profit. People come into Primerica one day and they're like, how much money did I make? 1 week, 1 month. People wait years in business, right? That's why wealthy people own businesses usually, right? Because they have that type of mindset. And then they use tax deferred investment vehicles. That's a boring one, but you got to use, you have to use the things that are out there for you. I get it. You don't believe in the stock market, but at least open the account for the tax deferral. It's amazing to me people who don't utilize these different things. And invest in yourself. This is huge. Wealthy people invest in themselves. The convention is not you paying Primerica. It's not you paying us. It's investing in yourself. Driving here to the meeting. It's investing in yourself. Logging in on Zoom. It's investing in yourself. This is like, self-education is a huge commonality among wealthy people. 85% of wealthy people read 2 or more books a month on self-improvement or career advancement. I had an appointment with a guy 2 days ago, and he goes, oh, I'm actually licensed to sell insurance as well. I was like, oh, really? For who? And he's like, no, I never sell, but my daughter, she owns a couple of Allstates, so she just got me licensed. I was like, okay, that's cool. His real job is a commercial real estate broker, so he does that. And then on top of that, he has his PMP, which is, what does it stand for? Something project manager. And that's a hard test. I know people in corporate talk about it like that. He just got it just to get. Because if he ever has to, decides to go back to a job, then he's qualified. Like he's to be 60 years old and doing these things, it's unbelievable that people do these things to further their careers and their incomes. Among average people, only 15% read. So what do we offer here? We offer seminars. We go to Primerica seminars. Of course, there's all kinds of seminars. You guys hear, right? Tony Robbins and Grant Cardone, and they're always advertising this stuff. And who's going to these things? People that want to further themselves, right? People find mentors that they can teach and train them about things. People listen to audios. When I come up here and I talk about this stuff, and I talk about the terminology that I use, the vocabulary that I have, how I can take some complex ideas and simplify them, whether it comes to investments, securities, insurance, things like that. Guys, this is 5-6 hours a day of putting the right things in my mind. When I go to like a really nice restaurant in Miami or whatever, that's where I hear the music. And I'm like, what song is this? And people are like, you haven't heard this? No, I haven't. I don't have time. When would I be listening to music? In my car, it's all educational stuff. When I wake up in the morning and I'm running, it's all educational stuff, right? At the gym, they don't allow us to listen to music because we have to listen to the coaches, right? I don't know when people are finding all this time to listen to music. I just don't have the time. So you want to sound like this, you want to talk like this, you want to know these things, you want to stay sharp, you want to stay on top of it, you want to be able to get in front of a room and give 30-minute talks on a weekly basis, multiple times a week. You want to get on a full-timer meeting with hundreds of people on Zoom, millionaires listening, and you want to have some good things to say. Yeah, I mean, trust me, it's not music that's doing that. And I know, I've hired people before and I say these things, and music, man, I know there's a nostalgia to it. Me too. When I hear the stuff that I grew up on, people say music is very important to me. It's a big part of my life. It's art. It helps me get through things. I'm not making fun of it. It is what it is, man. That's cool. But right now, maybe there'll be a time in my life where I can, go back to that. But right now, input is output. If I want the right output, I need the right input. And music ain't doing that for me, right? Music is candy. I need vegetables. You don't think I like candy? I like candy. You guys know me. I like desserts. I like all that stuff. Yes. But too much of that, I'm not gonna get to where I want to go. So the videos. So you can go on YouTube, but hopefully you're plugging in the right stuff. I was going to say something else. I'm not in as much practice as I used to be. I used to be able to connect everything. I got to get back to that. But guys, that's this training here. We're done. But a lot of us are, myself included, for my own personal production, personal recruiting. So I'll start with me first. We are a little bit behind this month, okay? But we have plenty of time. Today's what, the 14th?
Yeah.
So we got more than 2 weeks to hit it hard and catch up. And if you want to be a winner and you want to get in the spotlight, it's great because people know who you are. But then the problem is now they're watching you, right? And you have to keep doing it over and over again. And so it's awesome. The pressure, people are watching our businesses. Shaq and I, we had great months last month. You guys had great months. But now people want to know, can they do it again and again and again? We got to come through and we got to make it happen, right? Okay. So how do we do attendance if people are on Zoom? What do you want to do?
We don't
No,
You just do in room?
districts and above.
But are you doing in room or do you do?
In-room.
Just
That's how we do it? Okay. All right, cool. So let's see how many we got here today. We definitely have a good group here. If you are district, huh? Oh yeah, Zoom. Appreciate you guys logging in. Hopefully you guys got some good stuff. Let's set up appointments.